Thank you very much for joining us on Innovative Pioneers, where we showcase innovators, thinkers, and leaders across the globe from a variety of professions. I am Dominique Wilson, your host. I have the pleasure of introducing Miss Kenyatta Young. She is a purpose coach, speaker, accomplished global human resources executive with over 16 years of experiences working for Fortune 100 companies such as PepsiCo, Nestle, JP Morgan, Bank of America, and most recently, Meta, which you all know of as Facebook. She's a strategic HR executive with specific experiences in organizational development, effectiveness, employee relations, and diversity, equity, inclusion. It was only then, after completing her lifelong career goal, that she realized there had to be more to life. Now she lives to thrive. She spends every day helping other professionals understand that there is more to life than doing a job for a mere paycheck. Her passion for purpose comes through in every facet of her life, both specifically in career coaching. For this reason, she created a company called Pencil Skirt Project to help professionals empower themselves by giving them step-by-step advice on how to become confident, negotiate the life that they want, and live out their purpose each and every day. She dives deeper into this in her teaching within her new book, Light It Up, says 7 Secrets for Dominating the Workspace while living out your purpose as well. In addition, she currently serves on the board for Skills of Chicagoland Future and is a member of Jack and Jill America Foundation, Inc. She's a mother of 2 children and is based in Chicago's Bronzeville community. To find out more about her work and the Pencil Skirt Project, please visit pencilskirtproject.com. I'm so excited to welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us today. You are the innovative pioneer, and we are looking forward to learning about you and your journey. I'm curious.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you. No, we're very humble, and we want to know more about you. And I'm really curious, what motivates you? What inspires you to get up every day?
Awesome. I mean, that's a very loaded question. I get that question asked to me all the time. My morning that I'm so proud of, it starts at 4:30 every day. And what really gets me up in the morning is my purpose. So I'm super excited to, leave a legacy for something that lives beyond my core existence on earth. And so I always lead with this motto, like Brown always says, like, you got to be hungry to live life to the fullest. And so I wake up with the fuel of energy of knowing like I can work independently as an entrepreneur on the things that's going to fuel others. So in return, it gives me that energy and knowing that I can change and transform people's lives for the better. And I know that through what I'm able to provide, they're able to be more confident, more self-aware, and more motivated, and they themselves can thrive.
Yes.
And so who wouldn't want to do that? So that alone gives me that motivation to get up, to be able to live life in a purposeful way. And for that, that's my pill for getting me up in the morning and sustaining my energy throughout the day and a nice little cup of water. So that is my recipe.
I love that. And that's an incredible recipe, and living with impact. That's
Exactly.
extremely courageous, but also it speaks to that longevity. And I love that you spoke to the legacy portion, because it's how we remember. And not only that, but what we leave behind and how we contribute to the world. So that's incredible.
Yeah, and just to add to that is it
Please.
showcases as an example to my kids. I have 2, as you had already introduced in that intro. And so I realized that sometimes it's easier said than done in telling your children, hey, you have to grow up and be someone, or be somebody, but it's important to even embody that same inspiration I want to give to my kids by showing them in that same vein. So that gives me also that fuel to thrive, because I know that they're watching. And so that's also what gives me fuel to know one day when I hear them say, hey, Ma, I want to be like you when I grow up. It's like, oh, goodness, the light is really shining on me. And so that gives me motivation to obviously not to let them down, but to obviously be proud of the legacy that I leave not only for others to benefit from, but also for themselves.
I love that, and I'm certain that they see that in you. And I'm curious. Speaking of significant people in our lives,
Mhm.
who were the people that impacted your journey the most, and what were the lessons that they taught you?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, there's so many hosts of individuals. I call it this the stepping stone of how you call yourself success. And so I would
Mhm.
say many people have played a significant role in my life to get me where I'm at today. The first will be my grandmother, who's deceased. And one thing I've learned from her, and knowing that she only had elementary education and some high school, but not necessarily any higher education, is just being able to have this work ethic of wanting more. And even that humility that despite her not having the riches when it comes to money, but the riches of character, the riches of humility, really being humbled and being grateful, that the spirit of gratitude, and the also this concept of religion, not just religion of going to church, but actually having a relationship with God, and the
Mhm.
importance of prayer, having that foundation, which is very key to my success. Like, I give all glory to God and Jesus Christ, because I listen to what he wants me to do for the will of my life. And so I really gotten that from her. And one thing I will always remember her saying before she passed away was, don't worry, everything will be okay. So despite you, when people read my background and see like, oh my goodness, you're juggling so much, one thing that keeps me grounded is hearing her words of comfort to say, don't worry, everything will be just fine. And once I realize and taking those words in consideration, it gives me that sense of peace and hope that I can persevere.
Yes.
And then the last person I was saying, again, there's so many people, would be my mother. She had me as a teenage mom at the age of 16, while she was in high school. And so, and I know, reflecting and seeing her today, there were some sacrifices that she had to make, having me. So grateful that she decided to, because other people, they make different decisions. And so by being a teenage mom and, carrying someone, as you are a baby and having a baby, it comes with its challenges. And so I just really look at her as someone, as my hero, saying, wow, you made a decision to birth greatness, and the sacrifices you made. I look in her hard work and her ethics of, I'm going to do what I need to do to support my family, just to make sure everything stays in place. And it just really is a great thing for me, is to stay humbled of
Yes.
where I've come from and the struggles, because of the landscape that she had to endure having a child, while being a teenage mom. And so I get some of that tenacity from her, that energy of like, I'm going to conquer the world, because as a teenage mom, all things are comes against you, and so left and right. And so some of that energy I bring into my work ethic today. Like, I'm willing to take it on, because no challenge is like having someone that you have no other resources to depend on but for yourself. And so I'm like, if she can do it, and I take in what my grandmother put in place, have the foundation of prayer, and she says doesn't worry, and then my mom was able to do those things, then hey, I have it made in the shade. And so those two individuals really set the paved way for me to not aim for mediocrity, even though they had their challenges growing up. They didn't have a college degree or a master's, but they set the pathway for me to do it. So I was able to really become that first person in the family to get a college degree, or even get my master's, and to even be able to work at companies that you named off, because of the foundation they set before me.
That's incredible. I really love that reflection that you shared. And first, you mentioned the value side, right? The understanding of who we are and what are those pillars,
Yeah.
and making sure that we recognize that and establish that for ourselves. But knowing that things, there's always a way, there's always a solution towards
Yeah.
something, and knowing that if there's pressure, that's okay, because that means there is, you can push back a little. There's always something and a way to go, and a way to move forward. And and also that resilience factor, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that there's if we give up, then we never get anywhere, right? But
Exactly.
knowing that that step forward will always gets us closer. So that's incredible, and
Love that.
I'm certain that many people have will reflect on your words and see how that they can better align themselves with that. Um, Something you spoke to just now is actually your profession,
Mhm.
your career in the human resources field. How did you get involved in that career? I'm very intrigued.
Yeah. So there's a story behind this. So
Mhm.
I did not I have a spirit of wanting to help people. As you can probably hear this energy in me around my purpose of helping other people get to where they need to be in life. And so when I was in college, my freshman year, I said, I want to help people. And the first thing I thought was social work. Social work, that's the core of their existence. And at the university I attended, they allow you to do service learning. So you actually have to go in the field to really confirm if this is really what you want to do based off getting firsthand experience.
Mhm.
And I quickly learned that was not what I wanted to do by that experiment. So there was one day I was going to a career fair my freshman year, and I happened to had a conversation with a counselor from Inroads. Inroads is an organization that helps minority youth land Fortune 500 internships. And at that time, I don't even want to put that date of time ago, that they was only recruiting STEM students. And at that, I wasn't a STEM student at all. I was really into psychology or social work. And I really was persistent. I said, well, if there's ever any opportunity, because I know what's important is to get the experience.
Mhm.
And because I was so persistent, the individual said, I think I may have an internship in human resources. And in my brain, I was like, I don't want to hire or fire people. Because I
Mhm.
thought, like most people who think about HR, it's like either you're on the very good side of hiring or you're on the very bad side of firing people. And I had that same perception. And so I decided to take a leap. I was like, well, what's wrong with having a job in the summer? And I fell in love. I was a first intern for human resources for the entire organization. So they were also taking a leap of faith on me. And I fell in love. Like I really enjoyed combining the people aspect of it with the psychology, but also the element of business. So I was able to really use the strategic thinking and coaching of the things that I knew I loved interacting with people, but it didn't have to be in the setting of social work. So from then on, I picked it up as a minor, and the rest is history. I never turned back. So that
That's
was
awesome.
one occasion, being persistent, and then just taking a leap of faith.
I love that, and something that really stuck out to me in that is the fact that you took initiative, right? And you did it in a way that was exploratory, where you
Yeah.
asked questions, and to the point where you asked if there is an opportunity, and when it comes to that, it's so important for folks to realize that opportunities don't come if we don't ask. And I
Yeah.
love that, and that tenacity shines there. So I'm
And
so
even not even being afraid of experiencing something new, and
Mhm.
also debunking what your perceptions are about something that you've never personally had experience with.
Yes.
Because a lot of times people shy away from what they've heard from others or what they've seen but never personally experienced. So if
Yes.
I would allow other people's opinions about a field that they didn't even have a job in themselves, I wouldn't be where I am at today. So I definitely agree with you of like you won't know unless you experience it.
Agreed.
And then the only way you know it won't work for you is
Mhm.
until you experience it. So it's one of those kind of catch 22s, but you're totally right.
That's awesome. Got to jump right in. I
Yeah.
love it. And that's something that I see you've been doing with some incredible projects of yours, and particularly
Yeah.
initiative with your initiative with Pencil Skirt Project and your company there. Tell us more about it. What is your company's mission?
Yes. So Pencil Skirt Project, I've been in business for the last 2.5 years.
Mhm.
And so the purpose of Pencil Skirt Project is to really help leaders, professionals identify their why, purpose, understand how to really evaluate and reach their overall potential while
Yes.
getting paid for it. I really believe in building your overall inner self. So when it comes to confidence, how to overcome your fears, how do you really overcome distractions internally or internally.
Yeah.
And when you think about the workplace, sometimes we don't necessarily think that our confidence reflects how we are paid.
Yeah.
So I really do support my clients on how you're showing up to the workplace when you want to negotiate for more equity, right? I coined in my book that I once heard someone say, your confidence seals more deals than your skills will ever be able to. So the more you're able, at least for me and Pencil Skirt Project, the more we're able to build more confident individuals who do things that they love, we ultimately reap benefits from it, right? We all inherently are able to be more productive. People are more healthier, and people are a little bit more authentic in their own skin. And
Yes.
what a wonderful thing if people can bring that to work or even as they interact with individuals. And so that is what Pencil Skirt is, the passion and the mission is about. And doing so, I provide this through coaching, whether that is one-on-one,
Certainly.
group coaching, speaking engagements, as you've already said. I have a book called Light It Up, Sis. I have Light is a proprietary framework that I've developed. And the L means to lead, the I means to inspire, the T means to transform, and the E is to embrace. So if we all shine our lights in some form of way, as we go on that journey, wherever we are in the workplace, in or out, if we align that to our purpose, then we ultimately will all benefit from it. So that's what Pencil Skirt is about, some of the services I provide. And I also do workshops. So I tend to get pulled in from universities or employers and saying, how do you shine this light onto my employers when we think about burnout in the workplace? Or how do you align this to my students who are still navigating the world of themselves before they even think about jumping into the world of work? So that is what Pencil Skirt is about and kind of some of the core services I provide.
Kenyatta, you are incredible. I
Oh,
love this. This energy that you're giving me, but also your purpose and also how you deliver that. I immediately when the call started, I saw that, and even to the point where you even helped me personally just take a step back, and um and do it in a way that is productive, but also it's relieving and relaxing. So I see that, and I know that for those that are listening, you're going to be a great value add to them. So I really hope that they
oh,
reach out to
thank
you.
you. That's amazing. Thank you. I appreciate
Of
that.
course, I receive that, and I share that humbly, and so I'm so excited for that for you. I'm curious, like, what inspired you to start Pencil Skirt Project? Like, can you highlight that? I know you
Yeah,
touched on the
I
service a little
wouldn't
bit,
have an
so
issue. I love this.
yeah,
So by the way, let me break down Pencil Skirt Project because sometimes people think when they see my logo, they're like, oh, pencil skirt. It's just like for women with skirt, right?
hmm
So pencil is really symbolic because sometimes we think about, I always tell people when you think about the pencil, many times we just want to write things down.
yeah.
But the symbol that's mostly overlooked in a pencil is the eraser.
Mm-hmm.
So the power of the eraser is knowing that you can find the light in the eraser. You can lead yourself to use it. You can be inspired to do it. You can transform your life by erasing some things and rewriting it, right?
Yeah,
And the E is to really embrace and giving yourself that grace. So I really believe, and when I say the pencil, it's symbolic in so many ways, wherever you may be in your journey on purpose, navigating your career, where you are in your confidence, how you're taking the leap of faith and overcoming fear, is that only you control that eraser. Only you get to decide when you want to use it, and only you can rewrite your story, right? And your narrative. And so that's one of the key things that I really holistically believe in, that flexible way of saying, hey, give yourself the grace to use that eraser,
mm-hmm.
blow it off and keep it writing and move forward. So that's the symbolicness around the pencil. And then the skirt is a great, and then the project piece is that it just never ends. So I wanted to just break that down a little bit more. But why I was inspired, there was a story behind this. And so years ago, when I found myself really up against, I call it this moment of almost dying. I had an unexpected ectopic pregnancy when I was on a business trip. And I nearly almost died, to the point where the doctor told me I lost my baby and they had to do an immediate surgery because I was losing so much blood. I had no idea that this was going to lead to my husband signing all those kind of paperwork you see in those movies or TV shows. And it becomes this very dramatic noise and music. And you're like holding your breath. Like that was me in that moment. And they had to do an emergency surgery. I can remember my doctor, her name is Dr. Comfort. So I already knew from my grandmother telling me those words, don't worry, everything will be okay. And her name was that. So I felt like it was a confirmation from God saying, like, you're not going to die. We're going to work this through. But in that moment, it was very scary. And so the very next day for me, in pain, just lost my baby. And the first thing I did when I woke up, do you know?
Oh, what did you do?
I woke up and went to a work meeting. Got out of the bed, very painful, just had a life-threatening experience, and logged on, put my shirt on, put my face on, and logged on. And in that very moment, I realized, oh no, like I literally have so many things that I need to work on. Yeah. And I said, I never want to not have conversations that many people don't want to have, and talking through what it means to live your life and give your light in ways where you can do it without giving your whole self. And you have to be able to take care of yourself first before you can give anything to anyone else. Work, parents, kids, husband, all of those things. So if you don't work on your core, then what's worth living for, right? And so in that very moment, I said, I want to be able to have open-ended conversations about giving yourself grace, when to take a break, using leave of absence, benefits. I mean, I'm an HR professional, but using resources to get you right. And so then any company, any employer can really benefit from your whole self. And so that's why I talk about in my book is the 7 secrets no one wants to talk about. How to excel as a leader. They like to see the great resume. They like to see the wonderful smiles, but behind the smiles are sometimes people are burnt out in pain. And so I myself got through that journey. And so I don't ever want to rest, and making sure that whoever I interact with can also overcome those things, and to realize it is not abnormal, but it's also a self-decision that has to be made.
First of all, I appreciate you for sharing your vulnerability there and sharing that with all of us. And and in my reflection, ultimately, what really stood out to me is that life balance and being able to be honest with oneself and confront it. You know, I know it can be hard at times to reflect on why and the challenges that are in front of us. But when we do, we're able to, from our perspective, at least be able to figure out what is that best stuff and consult with others and be able to know that best comfort for oneself on how to move forward. And you spoke to it very adequately.
And I would say sometimes we over index on balance, that word, and it feels like a scale that never feels balanced. So I once I've recoined it. I've learned this over the course of time. It's called life harmony. So finding what really flows for you with where you are in your life right now, and to know that can evolve. You know, in that moment, I said, with my husband telling me like, what is going on with you? Close that computer, right? But also to the point where I'm like, I think I need help. I need to go see someone to help me with this, right? So even like you said, with a sense of awareness, but don't think that balance is like everything is perfect, right? But finding this harmony and this flow and being present in the moment of today and giving yourself that grace path, like I had mentioned, is like, okay, I'm going to give myself grace. Let me get myself together and be okay with using the eraser. Oh, that wasn't a good decision. I need some help, right? And so I think that is one of the key elements of my business, that when clients come to me and they say, hey, Kenyatta, I want to help. I want you to help me with salary negotiation. I can help you with that. But let's first talk about your core. What do you think about yourself? How do you treat yourself? What words of affirmation do you speak over yourself? Until we can peel that back, you won't be able to ask for $1 million because you may not believe you're worth it.
Yeah.
right? So there's a difference in that element. And so that's the reason why I created Pencil Skirt Project.
I love that. And I know a lot of people will be able to benefit from that. And so I really hope that the listeners and the viewers are able to take advantage of that. And congratulations on again on your great milestone of becoming a new author.
Thank you.
Of course, you wrote the book Light It Up, sis.
Yeah.
I can you speak more to it and tell us about it and what motivated you to write it?
I would say the reason why I wrote this book is to really, when you see the light, is to really give light.
Yes.
And sometimes when you think about different instructional books and tools and resources, they've stayed very high level. I wanted to be able to give my perspective, my personal perspective and observations as a successful Black woman
Mhm.
and how I navigated the workplace and giving people real tools and steps and how they can implement the same where they are in their journey. So, whether you are a young woman in high school or a C suite executive in the workplace or an entrepreneur, you can find something in the book. I talk about how to build your confidence,
Mhm.
literally giving you the steps on how to do that, how to conquer fears. Many times we think about fears as you see a snake. I don't like spiders. I'm like, ooh, I have a fear. But sometimes it's fear of communicating, fear of standing up for yourself, fear of asking for more on the job, fear of asking for a promotion.
Mhm.
Sometimes fear of your own self. So how do we overcome that? So I would tell people, don't look about fear as a thing. You say, I want to face everything and rise. That's what fear
Mm.
means. FEAR. Face everything and rise.
Yes.
And then also talk about the element, as I mentioned to you, I shared that story in a
Mhm.
burnable way and saying, how do you give yourself grace? And so
Mhm.
sometimes we shy away from conversations that doesn't come up in the workplace, hardly comes up in a course or a class.
Sure.
So that is why I created this book to really give women, you can read it too, but women
Oh.
this path of normalcy and the way where it creates this vulnerability and then how to do it.
Mhm.
Right. And then how to do is really coming from my personal observations and experiences to say, if I can do it, you can as well. So give some of that inspiration as well. I have the audiobook is currently out today,
Awesome.
the ebook. So if you wanted to read it via Kindle, and then the hardback and paperback is currently on Amazon today. So
Awesome.
you can go out and check it out online. And then if you want to purchase it on my website, it's pencilskirtproject.com, and you can get it by selecting the book tab.
That's awesome. I cannot wait to dive into that. I love reading, and I know that a lot of people will learn from your your book as well. So I'm hoping that
Yes.
to
And
check
then it's
it out.
narrated by me.
That's awesome. And I know you touched on it a little bit, and maybe you can give us a sneak peek and on those things of like what are some key lessons you would tell someone that wants to pursue a goal, and what are some of those steps that they can take to help them achieve it successfully? What would be your reflection on that?
So in my book, the T in my life framework is transform your life with SMART goals.
Mm, yes.
So for those who may not know what SMART means, is an acronym. So when every time you think about setting a goal, you want to make sure it's SMART.
Hmm.
So is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it realistic? Is it time bound? Anytime you have a project or milestone you want to accomplish, you have to make sure it has all of those elements. So, for example, I wanted to write my book by X date. So, what I had to do is get up every day at 4 o'clock in the morning and write one chapter at a time. So, my goal was I wanted to write a chapter every week by a certain date by a certain time. So that made me, even though writing a book to some people is like, whoa, that's overwhelming. Woo, I wouldn't probably be able to achieve that in a lifetime. But if you dissect it and compartmentalize it into very small micro goals, making it smart, it's easy to attain. And then one thing that I do put in that chapter, because I actually have a chapter in my book called Setting Smart Goals,
Yes.
is being able to be comfortable in celebrating yourself. So I am all for it. My husband and my kids, like we are all for celebrating. If I just did one chapter, I'm celebrating like I wrote the whole book because it keeps you motivated.
Yeah.
What is having a goal that you can't celebrate it when you reach the milestone? So don't rob yourself of those opportunities. Sometimes it's easy said and done, but I learned along the way, and those lessons you asked is being in the moment and said, I'm proud of you. Being able to have that self reflection to yourself, because I've learned, even in the milestone of writing the book, not everybody's going to celebrate your success. The people you expect to give you a round of applause or sending you flowers or even buying your book or or even supporting your business or even congratulating you on a well-deserved promotion at work, some people are not going to celebrate with you or more or less care. So that's why it's very important that you have your own sense of gratitude, your own sense of self-worth, your own sense of confidence to be able to hone that in. So I love to applaud myself, have a moment with myself, get a cheap meal, take myself out to a spa, play a good music, a song, I get up and dance, whatever that is for me. I make it be my personal way to be able to say you did a good job, you worked your ass off, right? I don't know if I can, but it's important to have that moment and stand in it, right? And so that's why I would say when you set goals, make sure it's smart. You can always compartmentalize big goals to small ones. When you do that, make sure you have all of those elements of SMART and then celebrate yourself.
I love that. And I cannot wait to folks dive in to read further. I definitely see that and think that like it's so important that we acknowledge and celebrate ourselves when we make milestones, and because it's we don't always get that often enough around, and so it's important for us to lift our own selves up. I mean, I must say, Kenyatta, that your story is remarkable, and you are creating great resources for communities that need it. And I'm excited to see how your impact continues to evolve.
Oh, thank you.
And I know that we're closing out our conversation today, and I wonder, are there any closing remarks that you want to share with our community here?
Oh, yes. I would say don't be afraid. Divorce yourself. People say, what does that mean? Like really getting out of your own way. And if that causes some internal strife, whether that is setting boundaries, getting therapy, finding an accountability partner, being able to really divorce yourself, meaning if there's things that you have been causing your own way have been roadblocks of going forward for that promotion, applying for that school, going for that next job, get out of your own way and just take that chance. It's not, I won't say take a risk, because nothing is taking a risk on yourself, but give yourself a chance and prove yourself wrong. Sometimes I always find myself a little self-conflicted on the different decisions I made and the different projects I wanted to take on, or even juggling writing a book while also being juggling a full-time job, and even having been an entrepreneur. There's always been that internal struggle of thoughts I have to tell myself constantly of the why. So don't be afraid of getting out of your own way, so then you can truly thrive. So that would be my closing remarks there.
That's very powerful, and and I agree with you. It's so important to ultimately step out your comfort zone and just try, and and see what happens. And so
Yes.
I'm again, Kenyatta, thank you so much for joining us on Innovative Pioneers. No, I'm honored, and I can tell already in many ways you light up a room when you walk in, and so continue that shine. I'm sure our listeners and those that are viewing gained a lot from our conversation today. Again, I am your host, Dominique Wilson. Remember, never stop pursuing your dreams and action. And again, remember to never stop pursuing your dreams. And action gets you closer than you were yesterday. Until next time, peace. Thank you.
Bye.